Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lunch and Learn today. I am Jeremy. I'll be leading the call. Looks like we've mixed up our dates a little bit, but that's okay. I'm Jeremy. I'll be leading the call today, and we'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. I see quite a few people are filling in. Um, we had a couple pre-submitted questions, so I'll be starting with those. But then anyone else, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A. And so while you have a moment to do that, I am going to go ahead and just go over some of the main things. And then we have a couple pre-submitted questions from Marvin and Justin, so we're going to start with those. And then we'll get to any questions in the Q&A afterwards. All right, so first of all, just kind of the usual things. Welcome to Lunch and Learn. Check out some of these things we have noted on the side here. We've got our YouTube channel where we post a lot of good content, useful and different things that you can kind of check out and decisions about how to use different aspects, sometimes how to use specific steps, maybe something that's interested to you. So, subscribe to that, all those things so that you can get the notifications and see that good stuff whenever we post it. Um, and that'll be included things like version updates and all kinds of things like that. So definitely worthwhile. Check out the Solutions Marketplace. Great place to get some ideas for applications, see how some things are built so you can use it for inspiration, or if you just want to directly use some of those things, some really useful stuff in there sometimes as well. And then if you haven't had a chance to use it, the support chat in Decisions will actually has AI DocBot in it now as well. So your AI can assist you a little bit before you have to talk to a support person. And obviously, if you still need to talk to someone in support, you can still do that. But the AI should hopefully be able to help you if you get stuck on things, and that may be useful sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our pre-submitted questions. I'm going to start with Marvin's because his came in earlier this morning and came in first. So I'm going to go through that. Um, and then we'll move forward after that. I'll let you talk, Marvin, so you can expand once I read what you have. Um, so the idea here is Marvin is trying to build some static text on a page that includes rich text and HTML. In this case, there are two links that someone would be able to click on. So the rich text is working fine, but the HTML comes out as the HTML text as opposed to the actual readable text. And so you want to looking at his approach, and we'll kind of walk through that a little bit. I'll let you talk if you have anything else to add, Marvin, but I'll go ahead and start kind of
Okay.
building out some sample stuff if you have anything. All right. Obviously I don't have any specific things, so I'm just gonna do a couple create datas to get the data in. But I know you said that you had your data coming from a couple links coming from your flow at some point, right?
Right, I basically used to create data stuff there as well.
Okay. I'm just gonna let's just say I have two links, and I'm gonna use this to create my message that's gonna contain those links. This is going to be your merge HTML. Important message stuff up at the top. First link. Yeah. Uh, just real quick, anything different that I just did up here to what you
That
did?
works, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So yeah, grabbing those things, great. See that. Some links already right. Okay, and then You used this according to what you sent me with an HTML display on the form, right?
Yes,
Okay, grab a form real quick.
yeah, that was my best guess.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. Oop. Okay, and then I have your email. I'm just gonna copy mostly what it is. Okay, so you have it, yeah, you have it coming from data because you're gonna grab the data from the create data that you made.
You have to do the setup input data, but yeah, I didn't include that.
Mm. And then you use inline embed.
Mhm.
I'll mess with that in a second. It's on my HTML form. And there's my HTML message. I'm just going to pull this from the one that I merged in my create data step previously.
Mhm. Yep, that's what I get.
Right. But then in yours, you had a bunch of other stuff
I've
outside of
got other
this.
stuff, but yeah, I mean, those should be links, not just static text.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely static, but it might just be because I made this a constant. I bet if I did like merge HTML and I made it a link.
Well, therein lies the problem. That is very generic. If you've got a long URL for a link,
Hmm.
and customize that to say just Google
Right.
or whatever text you might want to refer to it as.
Right. Hmm. That works.
Does that work? Did that get the link to work?
Yes. It's gonna make me let me save this before I leave the
Okay.
page. But it looked like it did.
Yeah, if you use the embedded link option, I believe that does work.
Yeah.
Yes, but you can't tailor that link in any way. In other words, set your href, but the description between the A tags you can't set.
Mm.
It assumes the same thing as what's in the href.
Jeremy, so could you just create one with the anchor tag and try it that way and then have the HTML read it? Because I think that's
And
the
that
problem you're talking about, right? Marvin.
Yeah, I think so. That's,
All right.
I think that's, yeah, just put a space href equal some link.
Equal, then yeah, quotation, then yeah, that exactly. You'll need the whack whack.
Whack, whack. I haven't heard that one. That's good.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah. After the
oh, I
HTTPS.
thought I did. It must not have registered. I don't know what I did.
Okay, I gotcha. And then close it there.
Yeah.
And then another sideways caret. Is that what they call those sideways carets? I don't know. The right arrow.
Greater than sign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. And then what you got to do is then type text, just say, this is my link. Like I would just type my link.
yeah, that works.
And then just, what is it? Is it less than the left arrow?
Less
Yeah.
than.
Less than.
And then a /A. And then close it. There you
There
go.
you
And
go.
then save.
Okay.
That's it.
Right. And that's already pulling from that. So let's see.
So let's see if that gets that, because that's what they're doing, and there's.
I didn't exactly build it that way, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting, and
And
it's
so that's the
not.
problem, is he's saying it's that. The href's not registered. Can you go into this control and see if it's inline embed or?
Yeah, this one is right now
I think
inline
he
embed.
did. I think he did set it.
I set it to inline embed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now that was my approach. I'm not saying that was the correct approach, but
Sure. Do you mind if I drive?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I want to try some stuff. HTML is one of my favorite things. It's fun. All right. Let's take a look at this. All right. Alrighty. So we got a form, right? Test, rich text form. And then you have a rich text display, right?
well, I haven't tried that. Hey,
Oh, you haven't tried that? Oh, you're using HTML display.
right.
Oh, okay, I got you. We'll do both. All right, we'll do both and let's see what happens. So I'm gonna say this is the data name from data, and this will be HTML display. I'm gonna say this is the rich text display. Rich text display. And let's see which one of these works. If I can spell it. I can't really spell very well today. Oh, I need a button. And we'll leave it as button, put this in here. And then we'll go, let's create a new flow. This is test HTML usage flow. And then what we'll do is let's go show form on this, show form, how form, show form. It's good that it got there. All right, and then we'll pick and create, pick existing form. I got my text rich form. All right, and so that's all you did, right? You have a create data step,
Sure.
create data. And what I shall do, and I'm gonna do that exact same thing, is we got our HTML or anchor tag test. And then I'm gonna say, right, and then we shall go to merge HTML, edit this, and then yes, when you did the let's see if I can remember how to do this. It's been a while. Is it no, it's not. It's just HTTPS decisions.com/training. Close this. Then we close that and we'll say, click me. Remember the click me days, Marvin, where everything was click me?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I just
I'll
put
say
some other text in there as well, outside of the anchor tag.
outside of the anchor tag. Okay.
Yeah, just
This,
hello world or something.
this. Oh, we're going that far. Hello world with a floppy disk. There we go. We're going back. All right, href, click me please, and then floppy disk. All right, cool. We're gonna save this, and then what we'll do is I'm gonna add this string, as select from flow. Now it's flow data in later versions of 9. If you're wondering why it's not select from flow anymore, we just changed it. All right, I don't think I fixed something. I didn't set this as embed. I need to fix that. That's URL, is source type. Let's see, that's not, is it just data? Nope, there's something, I'm missing something. How do you have it set up? Are you using URL?
No, I use data.
Okay, it's data. URL source, so you're using data here. I'll say this is HTML data. And then we go down here to inline. And then here, I want to make sure I'm using rich text display. Okay, cool. So I am wondering, I think, let's make sure that, okay, all the mapping is done. Do here, anchor test, boom. And then we debug. And then that's where we have that and the href there. Click me, and it's not displaying that way. All right. So this is that way. Let's see what else we can do. I'm gonna click on this. We got HTML from data, link. What is it? Allow unsafe HTML. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna click on it. Let's do this. I want to do it inline. What is inline? I think inline is just gonna load the page or try to load the page on the thing.
The font's different too.
So it doesn't
When you do
render.
that, yeah.
So it doesn't
When you do
render.
that, yeah.
Yes, it doesn't render there. What? So yeah, I don't think are you able to create it here? And then let's do this. And instead of utilizing the tag here, I'm just curious if this works. If I say click me, and then I say the link right here, and then I say what, new tab, and then I put HTTPS. Except this is the problem is it's static, right?
All right, keep going. I'm just curious to see what happens.
Okay, I gotcha. If I can spell it, training.
Because that's almost ringing a bell is the reason I'm asking.
I gotcha. And
Ah,
then it's click me,
that
and then I
looks like a link.
save. And then I don't know, let's test it, run it. And then there you go, click me, and then now it's a link.
There's the issue. You put the
Yeah.
text you want, highlight the text, and then click.
Yeah,
Link
exactly. And
option.
then if I click me here, it should take me to decision training. There we go.
Yep.
So I think that's just what it is.
Format.
I'm wondering HTML. I'm just curious if there's a way to make that dynamic though. Like that, I think that will solve your issue by just adding it
Right.
here and linking it there. But I'm just curious if it's like, are we able to do it from let's do floppy disk. I'm able to do this dynamically? No. So I think there's probably a scenario. Let me just do one more test and then I'll pass it over back to Jeremy. As I'm curious if I do, this is HTML test. I mean, sorry, this is anchor test 2. Anchor test 2, we'll call that. It's a pretty bad name. But what I want to do now is can I create string builder? Or no, I just want 2 HTML, 2 HTML. 2 HTML, 2 HTML text. And what do I need here? You do need a string builder value for that. But I'm wondering if I do that with the string builder, I'm trying to think of how to make it dynamic. I know you could link the text. There's actually a link, I think. Create link that you
Right.
can have that allows you to dynamically create that text. So if I let's say if I create a link and my text is going to be, and this is probably how you can do it. This is where you can get it as a variable. If I want it to be from, let's do, flow name, right? And then I want my link. I can also get this from a dynamic process. And then let's say I want this is to be http decisions.com and then / training. And then what I can do is I don't even need this step. I can just say, okay, so for this part, now what I'm going to do is as I create my text, I just click the link string and I think that should be linked for that. Oh, look at that. It didn't. Hmm. That's fascinating. I thought that would do that. When you replace, hey Jeremy, didn't we do this on one of our builds, our sprint builds? Or am I lost?
Mm,
That may be where I'm vaguely remembering this from
As I thought we did it on
the financial lending one.
exactly, yeah.
Because I think when you highlighted the text and then clicked the link,
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I think that's what
We did
I'm
static
vaguely
input. That's what it
remembering.
is. We did it here. That's what it was. We did the static like this.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay, so it looks like then it has to be that way. I just thought there was a way to make it dynamic where it actually reads and renders that HTML. One more test, and then I know I'll pass it back over because I know we have another question, another preset we got to answer. I just really thought if we did inline embed, allow unsafe, I don't think it's gonna matter, but we'll see.
And I do have one quick follow-up question when you're done.
Yeah, looks like it doesn't work. All right, what's your quick follow-up?
Go back to the form.
Mm-hmm.
When you define the properties for one of those,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't put the field in the setup input data. How is it knowing where to get that from?
The field and the setup data?
All right, on the right-hand side in the properties, the HTML data.
Mm-hmm.
It
Where's
adds it as an input automatically on the form.
and
Once
you
you
don't have
once
to
you
define,
type that, yeah, once you type that, HTML data is now an input on that form in the flow.
even though it's not defined up top.
Yep, even though it's not defined up top. So if I just called it cheese just so we can see the difference. Now it's cheese. I don't know
Okay,
if you like cheese. I don't like cheese, but
and
queso.
that's new to me.
So
Okay,
yeah, most form controls, it's kind of like text boxes, right? Text boxes you don't have to define as an input to the top, right? I can say this is data text, right?
yeah, I guess, yeah,
And that creates an input. It's the
that's
same
true.
thing.
Yeah, okay,
Gotcha. All
makes sense.
right, cool. All right, I'm gonna pass it back over to you, Jeremy.
Thanks.
Of
Sure thing.
course, our pleasure.
All right. The next question we have is from Justin, another pre-submitted questions. Let me pull that up real quick. Talk to it if you have anything to add once I pull this up. Okay. Justin's question was, is it possible to store a form into a case entity that's created from the form? So he's saying if I have a form that is a request for like a purchase or something, then create a case entity based on what they filled out, can I then store that form within the case entity? That's a good question, Justin. The first kind of main part of this is really going to come down to what version you're on. Um, because I don't believe until very recently we've had the ability to just take the form and save it, essentially.
I am on version 8.
Okay, then I'm fairly certain then there is no way to do this for you because this is a very recent update. It was in 9.5 that we've added this. But on forms, there's an outcome. Under the outcomes options, we have an included completed form image in outcome, and then you select the pathway, and it basically will add a file reference that gets output with an image of that like form and like what the final result of that form was when they clicked the submit button. But again, that's only in 9.5 that they added this. So like if I can just, I have a show form here I can grab real quick. But if I pass this form, oops, not build data. If I pass that completed form, which is whatever the output is, into this show form step, this is like the form that the user fills out. Obviously, this wouldn't make sense to save, but like if I grabbed something and I completed this, my show form step here is just going to show a document, and that document here is the like saved image of that. So it does save it as a file reference, and you could use that file reference in your case entity and whatnot if you needed to, or if you were looking for that. But yeah, otherwise I think if you're in an earlier version where you're pretty limited as far as I'm aware, you cannot just grab like a snapshot or anything of a completed form to go along with it.
Okay, that's helpful. At least doesn't it means I don't go down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right, we have another question, this time in the Q&A. It is from Anonymous, so if you're gonna, I might need you to raise your hand or note who you are so that I can get more information. But the question is, how do I clear a whole list of names? For example, I have a list of names that needs to be wiped of all names before I output the list to the next step. If you could show a demo, that would be great. So unless I can get a little bit more clarification on it, I'll do my best. But if that is you, feel free to type again or raise your hand so I know who to allow to speak. So a couple thoughts that I have here is just it's a little bit dependent on some of the information, where the information is coming from, but the create data step is fairly simple step, but can do a lot to help manipulate variables. And that would include clearing information. If you have like a something that's outputting a bunch, like a list of names, for example. Right, so let's just say I have this list of names coming through, and it's got Jared, some names on it or whatever, right? I have that list coming in from something. And then let's say for some reason I want to still use this list, but I want that list to be empty. There's, a couple things you can do. We've got change value. You can simply just have it change, like have another step change the value to a cleared list, for example. Declaring something with the same name. If I just declare this as a name list, um, sometimes you have to be a little careful with this, but just simply having variables that have the same name can cause sometimes confusion, right? And where it's saying it doesn't know which one to grab. And so sometimes it might grab the empty one, sometimes it might grab the cleared one. But you could use this to create an empty list, for example, and maybe change the value of the that previous name list. That way, when it hits it first, it's got this list of names, does whatever you need to do with that list of names, and then clears that list. So you still have that same variable called name list, but now since it's reached this step, it's holding nothing in it. And this works for if you have like a complex data structure as well, because you could specifically pick an individual value of that complex data structure. You don't have to just pick that data structure itself. Um, but without any like further, I think this is like the simplest way you could do that. There's other things that I think would, depending on the information and how it's coming in, that I think it would maybe change. You could probably do things. There are like remove steps, but that would get things a little bit more complex. Like you have like remove item from lists or remove item by index that allows you to remove items from a list. But this one requires this knowing exactly what the item is. This one requires knowing the item index, and that's only one item at a time. So if you're trying to clear a whole list or a majority of the list, you would have to mix that with a for each step to then say like loop through to loop through my list of names, and then for each of those, I'm going to remove the item, in this position, and then loop it back into the for each, and so on and so forth to change your list. But if it's as simple as just clearing everything, this will do all of that without having to do a loop. So that would be kind of inefficient. But if you had more like specific things that you need to delete, then these are good removal options for clearing something in a list. It just kind of depends on where the data is coming from and what information you need when you're grabbing things from a list. But yeah, without any other further I guess specifications, I don't know if I need to go in another direction or not. Hopefully that was helpful enough, at least to get you thinking about how to do that. All right. If you need further clarification or anything else, just type up another question in the chat. We can come back to you. But I do have another question from Grant. When would you use merge HTML text versus merge plain text? Oops. It's really pretty simple. I'm just gonna do this just a quick to show the difference, but it's more like the options that you have. So merge HTML, when you're building it out, the designer looks very similar, right? I've got merge HTML. You kind of have the stuff on the side, the box that you're typing in. For a merge plain text or regular text here, it's the same thing, but you'll notice in merge text, I don't have that option up here at the top to adjust any like details about the information that's getting passed in because it's merge plain text. It's going to be completely plain text, not formatted or anything like that. So I don't really have that variability to choose what that information is going to be coming through as or how that information is going to look. You know, I can grab information from my flow, like all of that stuff is the same between those two, right? But I can say like first name and then grab like a name, and that's all I can do with merge plain text. Whereas with merge HTML, you've got a lot more configuration options. Some of the stuff that Marvin and Jared were kind of talking about that you can try to mess with using, what you know about HTML to manipulate the data and how the data comes through. But you also have these like pre-configured options. You can add your links there if you need to add links. You can make it bold. So if I did like that same thing where I wanted to grab the first name here and I can make this bold and underlined, right? I can change the font, change the colors. You got it's just a lot more options. So then if I were to run this data through my process and look at the difference um, in the debugger, it looks like a mess because it's, tracking all of the HTML data and everything. But if I had it in like a viewer, like we had previously, right, this will just look like simply that. Whereas the HTML, I'd be able to see the bold, I'd be able to see the links, I'd be able to see, all the information and stuff that I had built out. So there's just a lot more configurability in the HTML to actually have that information as you want it. I can actually just grab it from the one I created earlier. But if I simply want to just show that, right, I see I have that bolded information and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot more options in the merge HTML, but if you're just looking to, depending on if you're like just trying to use the data in the flow, that's a little different. If it's just simply like, I want to grab the merge plain text to get information or something, or to place something in the flow, then maybe the HTML is not efficient for you because you'd have to then, if you wanted to use this in the flow, you'd have to do something to clear out the HTML information or whatever. Whereas this is nice and simply readable for a quick, simple thing in decisions. So awesome. All right. So far, that is all the questions we've been given. Anyone else have questions for Q&A? Raise your hand and I can let you speak. Any questions? All right. All right. Then we will go ahead and we'll end lunch and learn a little bit early for the day. Oop, this likes to do this on me. There we go. Okay. Yeah. We'll go ahead and end lunch and learn for the day. Thank you all for joining. We'll continue the rest of this week. I think we may have mixed up some of these names. I think Gregory is going to be leading tomorrow. But regardless, or maybe I didn't refresh this right and I don't have the updates. But anyway, we will continue lunch and learn the rest of this week. So we still have tomorrow and Thursday left. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for all the questions. If you have anything else, please reach out to training@decisions.com for pre-submitted questions or additional things if you need anything for training materials, support if you need any support help. And we will see you all next time. Thank you all for joining. Have a great one, everybody.